Alert the canine squad.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I apologize it took this long. We are finally taking a look at Indomitable, the new Parasoul variant that is coming out this month through the monthly Backstage Pass. If you're lucky like me and you managed to get Indomitable from the relics, well, congratulations, because this variant is quite unique among the Parasouls we have in the game currently. We're just gonna go straight into her signature abilities, and this is one where I'm quite impressed because Indomitable has a lot going on for her. She has way more utility than potentially most Parasoul variants in this game. Not only does she gain Deadeye, but she also inflicts Heal Block, which are two things that I don't believe any Parasoul variants have access to. And then her second signature ability allows you to transfer one of the opponent's buff while you gain miasma while benefiting for Deadeye. So that's really four things there. Deadeye, which is a unique buff allowing her to ignore a lot of defensive buffs like evasion, unflinching, and so forth. Heal Block, which prevents regeneration, which is quite good because Parasoul does not have this utility before. And a lot of defensive variants and characters like Valentine and Black Dahlia that relies a lot on regen defensively is completely countered by Heal Block. But then she also gains the ability to transfer opponent's buff, which is useful to steal things like Enrage that the opponent may get, Final Stand that they may get, immunity sometimes, and so forth. And finally, Miasma, which on its own steals a bit of the opponent's health and meter, so you have that ability to drain them a bit for some chip damage. Overall, Indomitable just has a lot of things going on for her, but she does come with her own weaknesses, which is that max attack at 8.5k. Now, this is not really a big problem in Rift battles, but in high prize fight streaks, it does start to show that she can't really deal as much damage and will rely mostly a bit on the miasma to kill the opponents. But we're talking here that like streak of 60 or something like that. It can be a bit difficult as well to get that first initial signature ability of reducing the opponent's health down to 80% when you start the game at a streak of 70 or something like that. Overall, she does have a really useful niche, and we're just gonna take a look at how she actually performs in the game and what the gameplay is to make use of her very, very well. With that said, let's go straight into the gameplay. So we're starting off pretty easy here, fighting against Standout, which is a bit of a problem when we are relying a lot on Deadeye to activate most of our abilities. Thankfully, she did not steal my Deadeye, and I'm still allowed to gain multiple stacks of miasma. Another thing that I noticed while testing her is that Evergreen Evil is such a good support, and I dare say probably mandatory to make use of her well. With Evergreen Evil, you can get a good stack of about 3 to 4 stacks of miasma, and without Evergreen Evil, you're kind of just relying on 1 or 2 stacks, which is often not really enough. It's not really that impactful. At 4 stacks, then you start to see some real good numbers. So we're left here with Death Wish, and I'm just gonna poke her a bit more with the miasma, dealing 4% every second, which is great. And I'm just finishing off the Standout here, trying to chip as much damage as I can with the miasma as well in the corner, because that's how you want to play Indomitable before we finish off the splitting image with a blockbuster. Again, we're starting off this fight with another Standout, and the reason why you're seeing a lot of Standouts here because I'm playing this in Eliza's prize fight that just finished. So we unfortunately did not get our Deadeye, so Standout was able to eat it. But with Flytrap here, this Flytrap is Grudge, and funnily enough, I was able to steal the buffs that she got, which is the armor and the enrage from her, from our abilities, which means that my minuscule damage is actually fixed thanks to Grudge, and now I can kill this Furmonger fairly easily. So here's something slightly different where we're faced against Snakebite, which shouldn't be a problem, but we are not really benefiting from anything either, since she doesn't have any buff that we can steal. However, the miasma and my corner game pretty much just kills. Oh nope, Dream Band comes in and we are able to steal that immunity even though I already have that immunity on him, and I'm allowed to, oh, my stun was resist. And now it's just a matter of trying to get as much damage to Dream Band here from my miasma stacks, filling me up back to full. Dream Band is down and we're left with Standout, but this shouldn't matter because we do have my Deadeye already, and the miasma stacks hardly matters since I'm dealing quite good damage just from my ordinary attacks. And Standout is down, leaving us with Snakebite, which I immediately kill with a blockbuster to the face. Right, so here in the first glance we're facing against Dream Band, and my goal here when you want to play Indomitable is to try to corner the opponent as much as you can. We want to force them into the corner so that our miasma actually deals something when we're close, but also most of Indomitable's abilities activate when you're on the opponent's side of the stage. So even though you're not super close, you're still able to steal their buffs if they're in the corner. So this Dream Band here, I'm stealing his immunity, which is not that effective because he just keeps getting more, but I'm about to just kill him here with some chip damage with my miasma stacks. Mummy Dearest comes into play, and I'm just trying to deal as much damage as I can, waiting for it to give an opening for me to use a blockbuster. Once the opponent is stunned, I can just do my ground combo and make use of this miasma stacks to chip them bit by bit every second or so. Now we're left with heavy-handed, and I think this should be fairly simple. Canopy Bounce followed by Motor Brigade deals a lot of damage right there. And a few more hits ends the fight. We're back again facing Standout and hoping that my Deadeye isn't stolen, but it did unfortunately, so I have to rely mostly on my just damage dealing move to kill Standout as much as I can. I got the stun there, which is pretty good, and then just a few more hits, combo, dash attack, napalm shot, and Standout is down, and I can start now getting Deadeye and stealing buffs like Jin Frizz, which is quite useful actually when she gets those 3 buffs from her own ability. But Jin Frizz just dies right away. I'm actually waiting here to get a few of her buffs, and then she goes down. We're left next with Death Wish, which is pretty straightforward. I'm using Napalm Shot and Silent Scope to deal massive damage right there. A corner grab that failed and Canopy Bounce, stealing and actually removing her buffs, not stealing it yet, and just reviving all the other defenses while still whittling down Death Wish health with my miasma stacks. I gotta say, in terms of moves, I'm using a pretty standard Parasoul set that just works because Indomitable doesn't really require any tier gameplay and such forth. Before long, Standout is finally down from a single Motor Brigade and a single hit. So just a bit more explanation on her moves here as I whittle down this overclock to death. I'm using a pretty standard Parasoul set. Canopy Bounce is a very good move to start combos, that's the one with the umbrella, and then Silent Scope and Motor Brigade are my damage dealing moves. More so Motor Brigade because it inflicts stun and deals massive damage as well, and with the miasma stacks it does help with some of the meter gain as it is a blockbuster too. Standout is stunned and I can just kill it, and then Model Leader comes into play, but we do have Deadeye there, so I'm not too worried about the auto block at all. However, I did get knocked down, which gets removed of all my buffs, and now I can't really get it anymore because Model Leader's health is no longer above 80%. So that's another weakness for Indomitable. Once you messed up real bad, and you can't really recover anymore from your abilities. You're kind of stuck with just using Parasoul's kit for the gameplay, but this time I managed to pull through. So here's an interesting fight with Heavy Metal, and I do think Big Band is probably the biggest counter to Indomitable here because he does have a lot of health, and getting him down below 80% can be a challenge, especially in high price fight streaks. Not to mention the buffs that Big Band variants get, like Heavy Metal and Dream Band gets, which is immunity, doesn't really help us that much offensively. It's just defensive buffs. But I'm still managed to take him down because we're not really that high in the streaks. I think this was like streak 30 or something. And I managed to take him down, and Mummy Dearest goes down shortly after. Splitting Image comes into play, and this is just a pretty standard way of just killing him with all my blockbusters there. A dash attack, Canopy Bounce, followed by a Motor Brigade that hopefully takes her down, but not so quite, so I'm just chipping her out with more miasma stacks before finishing out with a Silent Scope. Finally, we get a proper defender team here with a plot twisted, which shouldn't pose a problem at all because Deadeye does ignore her thorns completely when she resurrects, so she poses no threat to me whatsoever. A Motor Brigade here gets that stun, which is nice. I use my taunt to get immunity before plot twisted is down and is resurrected again. Deadeye is ignoring thorns, but I managed to just steal the thorns away anyway before Unholy Host comes into play, and Unholy Host is possibly one of a problem here defensively because I do get cursed and I need my Deadeye still to recover again, but I can't, and I made a mistake and gets hit, and I can't really get close to this Unholy Host. Thankfully, that heal block is basically my only saving grace there, preventing Unholy Host from healing and regenerating, allowing Indomitable to at least deal some consistent damage throughout, even without Deadeye or Miasma. Cannot bounce here to kill it with a silent scope at the end, not so quite yet, but a few more hits and she's down. Standout comes into play, and this is pretty basic here. I can't get Deadeye, and I'm hoping I might be able to, but unfortunately not. And unfortunately, yes, I did get Deadeye, and getting that final stand stolen before stealing and killing him with a Canopy Bound. Here's a really fun gameplay, which I think was the perfect gameplay against Peacock. Peacocks are very easy to counter, and I just want to show how you can use Peacock kind of as a punching bag when you're using Parasoul. You corner it very quickly, catch it with another palm shot, standout comes into play, and I'm just doing as much combos here as possible while stealing some of her health through Miasma before standout is down from a Motor Brigade. Freeze frame comes into play, and I'm using Canopy Bounce here, using more combos here, and then Silent Scope to finish that round very quickly. So that sums up our gameplay for Indomitable. Hopefully you can see that she does pack a lot of things in her kit. Evergreen Evil is almost mostly a support that you need in order to make use of that Miasma stacks. She does struggle against heavy, high health juggernauts, which is only amplified further in high prize fight streaks where she may struggle to deal that 80% mark before her abilities activate. In that fight against Unholy Host, if that was in a higher prize fight streaks, I probably would have lost. Overall though, I think she is still a very good variant to have with a lot of utility packed into her. I think she will shine the most in Rift battles where her low attack won't be as much of a hindrance, and she's able to make use of Parasoul's utility in addition to hers to be a pretty well-rounded variant. With that said, thank you all so much for watching and waiting. Hope you all have a nice day ahead, and I'll see you in the next video.